Hey guys, my name is John.
And my name is Ash.
And welcome to our channel, The Legacy Universe. In this channel, you will find us discuss about movies, TV series, and video games, and you can also find gameplay of video games. Today we're going to be discussing The Last of Us Part 2 and how much we loved this game.
And we also wanted to discuss this game because, if you guys know, this has been like the most controversial game of 2020 so far. It's been filled with a lot of people hating it because of like certain themes and certain characters, and we really think that a lot of people have missed the mark on what's truly important about this video game.
Yes.
It's a great video game. It's very impactful, and we just want to get into detail about why we really love it, give you our general thoughts, our favorite characters.
Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. We respect everybody's opinion, but we were just going to discuss why we love the game so much.
Yeah, like have in mind that when we are discussing our experience playing The Last of Us Part 2, it's our experience. And it's what we learned from our perspective. And please have in mind that if you are watching this video and you haven't finished playing The Last of Us Part 2, or you have not even started it, I would totally recommend to go and play it, finish it, and then
take your time with it.
This video game came out in June of 2019. It is August, and we finally decided to sit down and talk about it because we just think that it's important to have different perspectives on it, and maybe you guys can learn something from our perspective, and we can learn something from other people's perspective as well.
So since we're talking about The Last of Us Part 2, we wanted to go into a synopsis and a quick recap of the first game. The first game introduced Joel Miller. He is the main character in the first installment of The Last of Us. This character, when we first met him, we met him as a father. As a father that had his own kid, and she was like about 7-year-old. Her name was Sarah. And it was at the beginning of the end of the world, as we call it, and as we know in this video game. And as things went by, he encountered his brother, and they were trying to escape where they were living. I think it was Austin, Texas. Yeah. As they were trying to escape with the daughter as well, they ran into some trouble, some traffic and all that, and we were seeing the outbreaks from the hospitals. We were seeing people eating each other.
It was kind of it was kind of like the beginning of the virus that we eventually get to know
of the pandemic, of everything. Joel loses his daughter. And it's a moment where they encounter a soldier while they're running, and Joel is carrying the daughter. And he's given orders to actually kill anybody in premise. Joel is pleading to not do it, and as he escapes, he actually gets shot, and the daughter also as well, and she dies. Fast forwarding 25 years, Joel has been through all this. He's still alive. We know him as a smuggler of weapons, of food, of anything you can find. The journey from the first game is his mission is to smuggle a young girl out named Ellie with Tess. Ellie is known to be the cure to save humanity, and she needs to get to another place. I believe it's Seattle in the first game, getting into the hospital where they were supposed to reach at the end of the game. Joel begins to have second thoughts on leaving her there because he came to the information that once she got there, it was impossible that Ellie would survive any surgery because the surgery needed to be produced into her cerebral. So the host had to die, or not that has to die, but whatever they do, that part of the brain is going to stop functioning. And Joel started rampaging and killing everybody that was preventing him to save Ellie at that point. So he kills everybody, and he escapes with her. And at the end, Joel had to tell a lie that her life did not matter. He had to tell Ellie because Ellie was unconscious.
In the second game, we start off with Joel. He is experiencing a lot of guilt because of the choice that he made to not have Ellie be sacrificed in order for them to find a cure for the virus that keeps on spreading still up until on this game. And you see him at first dealing with this. He's actually telling Tommy in this first scene about what he did, and he makes Tommy promise him that Ellie will never find out. So from this, we move on to having the main perspective of Ellie, and you notice that in this game, in comparison to the first one, their relationship is really estranged.
Yeah.
Something feels off, something feels weird, and eventually we learn that Ellie does know the truth about why Joel took her away from the hospital, and that made her really angry because in her mind she wanted to be sacrificed for
the greater good.
The greater good for
and you don't
humanity.
find out this all the way deep into the game.
The game from this first scene is consistently changing in terms of character motivations and perspectives, and that's something that we're going to get into more detail as we keep discussing this video game,
because
it's very interesting. Like it makes the gameplay unique in my opinion.
I know some people have problems with every single character. I found every single character very important, and they had a purpose. They had a purpose on every single step of moral choice and everything that happened in the game, and it was a chain reaction all over because they actually touch almost every single social topic that's going on in the world and what's going on in the world actively.
Once you start getting these new perspectives, the game switches into a revenge plot kind of game. It starts from Ellie's point of view, and then eventually you get to see Abby's point of view, which is something that I thought was really cool that Naughty Dog did in this video game particularly. And
Abby is indeed the person that ended Joel's life.
Yes.
Which eventually becomes the drive for Ellie's revenge. Ellie's revenge.
So basically we see this dynamic of like the revenge plot. You see inner relationships, like we have Ellie and Dina, we have Abby and Owen, you have Yara and Lev, Tommy, and then you see the game does something really interesting also, that it mixes current events with flashbacks, and it ties everything really beautifully, in my opinion. It really made you understand and grow your perspective on these characters. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to start off with the gameplay. The gameplay itself, it changed, in my own opinion, it changed the reality of it. And when you're grabbing that controller and you're playing this game, you can feel every gunshot. You can feel every fist. You can feel every knife that goes into the clicker or a human being that obviously is trying to kill you as well. Not just the intensity of it is vibration, it's actually the way that the game is made, because every situation in this game puts you in a position, and the angles of the camera puts you in the position that it's extremely intense, and it changes the perspective of, yes, I am seeing this person in third person view, but it really feels like you're that person and you're at that moment, like you're trying to avoid the situation that you're in danger, and it really expands into a plethora of things that you can do in the game. I was so psyched with just this one thing that I knew that anything that would come up would impress me no matter what. Some people said that the gameplay didn't change much, and I was like, what? The one thing that impressed me more was finally that we can prone.
Yes.
That we can prone
on the floor.
You know how many times I had to use the prone to actually avoid people and avoid clickers and all that? A lot. And I'm a big fan of Metal Gear Solid, which is a lot of proning. If you want to be stealthy and all these kind of games. But it was really good, and it was my favorite feature. And almost every game has it now. But it was one of my favorite features because it was much needed in this type of game.
And it was something different from the first game.
Yeah.
And also, just to make a quick note, when John decided to play the game, he actually took on the survivor difficulty, which at that time, it was the most difficult one.
Oh,
and,
right.
And literally, the game was like, this is your first time playing. We do not recommend that you do Survivor. And John was like, I'll do it anyway. And it took us some time, but he really, he pulled through. He did it. But now there's another difficulty, which was Grounded. And then it has another feature that's the permadeath.
I have not started that yet, but
which basically, so Grounded apparently is even more difficult than Survivor. You're more limited in ammo, supplies, crafting stations, and I think limited sound too.
I think so. So imagine if you have to increase the sound of it when you're playing normal, and it's increased. Now imagine your regular sound, but when you're playing Grounded, your crafted and your increased sound is the one that you start with regularly.
Exactly.
Like, you're increasing it to get to the normal state of when you're playing a lower difficulty.
And with the permadeath, extension of that, you can pick that when you die, either the game resets from the beginning of that act, or if it resets completely, which is crazy to me, because I would remember every time that you would die in this game, and it was just man. It got to the point where it's just like, it's just,
you know what, it was I think it was the pressure of filming it. But next time I'm going to be calm and patient when I'm playing a game like
calm
that.
And serene. Another thing that I really loved about the gameplay was how interactive everything is. Like, for example, when you're in Jackson, you're about to go, I think, pick up your horse with Dina because you have a mission that day. But Dina is with some little kids, and they start throwing snowballs, and you end up being in a snowball fight that you actually have the opportunity to partake in. So you get to interact with those kids, and then you have a score, and then you have to beat the score. Same with when Abby goes to the aquarium to meet Owen.
Oh yeah,
you actually
the mini
have, like,
games.
It was like mini games, but it made everything very interactive. And also, apart from the mini games, there's some scenes where Ellie plays a guitar, and the first scene was Joel actually playing the guitar, and you actually play the guitar with your PlayStation controller.
If you see,
it was really cool, man.
If you get to see our first episode playing this game, you'll see that we went crazy when we knew that we could just not fully play the guitar, but at least touch some strings so that we could start. Aside from that, the stealth right now is very, very, very important. It's more important than the previous games, and
will literally save your life.
It's better organized, where your corners are actually just you're in the corner. You're like right where you're supposed to be, instead of just being behind it and just looking stupid sometimes. The stealth in this game has extended, and more skills. More skill windows have opened up.
Yeah.
Like, you can go throughout the entire game, and you can literally find manuals of these skills that can actually be upgraded into you. So, for example, let's say you have the crafting and you have the medical skill. Like, how fast you're going to do this, how fast you're going to do that,
how fast are you going to heal,
your bombs and all that. But then when you pick up that manual, a skill bar opens up for a new skill and the upgrade for all those skills. And I think in The Last of Us 1, the first one, it was in there, but it wasn't a discovery. If you know what I mean. It wasn't a discovery. It was more of, it's there, just know that you have to upgrade them.
Honestly, this is why we're telling you guys to take your time with this game, because there's a lot of exploration for supplies that will lead you to craft really awesome weapons.
This game now has more exploration to do. Like, you can go to more places than before. It's not an open world, but it's a more open section for every stage that you go to. There's some cutscenes that actually you can find while you're going through some places in Seattle. You can find Ellie singing the Take On Me song, and I'm like, what?
At a music store, because and it's not like, how can I explain it? It's not that you have to go there. They give you the option to be like, hey, there's a music store, and then a character would say, we should go explore.
The dodging factor
Oh, when they punch you or like...
But yeah, when you dodge,
that
when
was
you
another
evade,
thing that was really cool.
Yeah, it wasn't in the first game. The dodging factor was a huge, like a broken disc, factor in this game. Because you know how many times there were situations where you punch, the thing throws back at you, and you had nowhere else to go but just keep hitting. Now, in The Last of Us 1, it was more of, I think, the counter button. But here you have the option to just dodge yourself, and then whatever you want to do, whether it's you dodge, take a gun out, bam, or dodge, slam him with whatever you have, or punch him.
And you can dodge clickers and runners and...
You can dodge everything in this game.
Not stalkers, though, because
Stalker.
I think...
Well, you don't want to
yeah.
you don't want to even get close to that.
No.
So, stalkers was honestly, the gameplay is fantastic.
It was very interactive. It was very innovating, and it just made you feel, because usually in our videos, John's the one that's always playing, but even I, as a spectator, I was feeling submerged into this world. So
aside from me jumping and scaring her a lot.
That's like a deal right now, right? It's like part of it.
There's so many characters in this game that serve their purpose, and it's really hard to choose which one was your favorite character, especially because you control two different people at a certain time, and they both have their sides. They both have so much depth behind it, and we mostly know about Ellie, so it was only fair when it came time to play Abby. And when you saw what Abby had to go through and what she did, why she did it, it was like, oh man.
I'm gonna be controversial here, but I really liked Abby. I think she ended up being my favorite character in the whole game. And it really got to a point where when we started, because the first round you play Seattle, like 3 days in Seattle via Ellie's perspective. And then once Ellie and Abby finally meet up, which is the reason why Ellie goes to Seattle in the first place, it switches. So you play the same 3 days, but through Abby's perspective. And I honestly remember that when you started playing as Abby, it got to a point where we were playing with her so much that I think you mentioned Ellie, and I was like, oh, shit, I completely forgot.
Yeah.
No disrespect.
Yeah.
No disrespect. But
it's
I completely forgot that Ellie was a part of this game. It just felt like a completely... Like, they said that they're not going to include DLCs. I kind of get why, because I think through Ellie's perspective, you get one game, and then through Abby's perspective, you get a whole different game. Laura Bailey, she was incredible.
She played the hell out of that girl.
She was incredible in this game. I mean, everybody was incredible, but her performance is she's a standout in this video game, honestly.
I mean, especially Ellie, Abby, Joel blew my mind in the acting. And there's a moment when we start playing her, and I said, okay, who is this girl? Who is she looking for? And where are we? Why is she next to Jackson? Because she can see Jackson on top of a mountain because Owen, her ex-boyfriend, one of the characters in the game, brought her to that location. And we know that she's looking for somebody. The moment where she gets to meet Joel, but she doesn't know who it is at the beginning. It's where, oh my God, I finally get to see me. Like, I get to see finally Joel. Like, I was waiting so much to see Joel.
Yeah.
I was so excited because the game started setting you up for, man, I want to see this guy's guilt. I want to see what's going on. And I want to see how much he has changed because it's 4 years to 5 years that have passed since that incident. And we're not speaking about Ellie, but it's just, Ellie also had her moment. Ellie also had her moment where it was a revelation, and honestly, they're both my favorite character.
Yeah,
because
I can see that.
They both ended with the same resolution. Other than Ellie's resolution was a wound more open than Abby's, because what happened to Ellie was more recent than what happened to Abby, which was 4 years ago. Both of them,
I can see that. I'm not saying that Ellie's a bad character. She does make some choices in this game that really pissed me off. But at the end of the day, every character in this video game made a choice or does something at some point that you just get pissed off. So and that's something that's great development, but it's something different that this game does as well, is that they don't establish necessarily who's the bad guy, who's the good guy. There is nobody that's good or bad in this. They're just all mixed up together, and they're reacting to their situations in this during this post-apocalyptic world with infected on
and
top
they're trying
of it.
to survive. Like
yeah,
they're trying to...
it's a survival, and sadly, humans will make choices that don't necessarily reflect the good in them when they're trying to survive or when they're trying to defend somebody that they love. Because
you feel like the other person is the same as what you're thinking about right now. Like, if I'm thinking of killing that person because I'm hungry, they're probably thinking the same thing. So there's no choice for you to, or you're not going to try and share or defend. You know what I mean? It's complicated.
I felt more connected with Abby.
That's fine. That's fair.
At least for me,
that is fair.
Abby struggles with the fact that she doesn't think that she's a good person. And I personally struggle with that a lot. Like, I question everything that I do, and I'm always like, oh my God, I'm a sucky. I could be like, oh my God, I'm a terrible person. And then I'm thinking about it the whole day. And so for her to feel that way, and in the end find some sort of redemption where she starts doing good by taking care of Lev and Yara, it just felt satisfying to me that at the end she did become a good person. She did find the light at the end of this game.
We were saying they're not bad people. Like, there are some bad people in the game for sure. Like, they're blinded by because what happened to her, she felt like killing Joel would satisfy her, and she learned that it didn't. And we learned throughout the game, as we're going to explain right now, everything has consequences.
Yep. So the plot of this video game is something that I think it's the most controversial thing to some people. I don't think for the right reasons, if I'm being completely honest.
I don't understand you!
But, in that sense, being that it was so controversial, what's your take on the plot of this video game?
Okay.
Because I have my thoughts.
Thank you for asking. So, like Ash said, super controversial. And I understood why. I understood to certain degrees. I didn't understand like why was all these rampages and all that. And I know that there were some leaks. The people that leaked this out are freaking, why did you do that? Like, you ruined so many people's experiences, whether they were going to be good or bad, or they would have a chance to understand the game on their own. It didn't ruin mine because, honestly, I never went into social media.
We never saw the leaks.
We never saw the leaks of what it was.
I hadn't even seen the trailer for this video.
And I'm just angry at the people that those people ruined the game for. And even Naughty Dog, because it was something that it damaged them, and Neil Druckmann and even Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson and even Laura Bailey. It was a chain of negativity. I believe this is the best, in my opinion, and that I've played. This is the best game that I've ever played. And this is more towards the story and the perspective that I took from the game and what I understood that it was trying to tell the world, I guess, but it was what I took from it and what we took from it. This was a test to your human existence, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, who you are as a person, this game will reveal it, because the entire game has a roller coaster of emotions. Now, Abby, when she kills Joel, you can see in our gameplay videos, we were in freaking shock. I cried.
And it really comes out of nowhere.
And honestly, it comes out of nowhere. Yeah. Like, I cried like a baby. And even when we stopped playing, I was, still thinking about it because
I think you didn't play the game for like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. That's something that it did 2 things. One, it provoked me to stop playing the game because of how hard this was to see. And I felt angry. I felt super angry. I didn't feel angry at the video game. I felt angry at what I was watching because still my mind was saying, this is a video game. My mind was still saying, and we were talking about it, this is a video game. I was angry at the characters. Video game. Now, me not playing the video game for 3 days, and we can both agree on everything that I'm saying, is that it helped me, calm down, come to peace with what happened, with the choices that Neil made in the game. And a lot of people, the trust of when Abby met Joel.
Yes.
Like how Joel was too trusting.
That's something that's been brought up a lot. That Joel wouldn't do that and stuff like that. And I think what people are missing is the fact that years have passed. So the Joel that we met on the first game is not the same Joel in this game. Time has passed. He had a great relationship with Ellie. She sort of became his daughter after him losing his own daughter.
And
Sarah.
sorry, before you jump into like farther off, he wasn't even the same at the beginning of the game than when you start playing with him.
Yeah,
because he was a father. He was just a regular dude with a child. 25 years that had passed and changed him in the lockdown and everything that went on. So they head back to the camp. It didn't feel for them. I don't think it felt like they were gonna be killed or anything like that because their hearts were in the right place.
I wanted to add to that's why the story of this game and the characters are so great, because again, you start seeing how people are. Like, you have Joel who will see Abby and will help her, while Abby, if it was probably the same situation with Joel and Tommy, she would have killed them. So that's what the video game is actually trying to show you with each character and each faction and each action.
And every day that passes throughout the game.
Yeah. It's a matter of personalities and how everybody was raised on their beliefs. But then you have the case of Joel, who was a type of person in the first game, and in this one he transitions into a new game. So that's what
a new person.
Yeah, I said new game. I'm sorry.
Going through what happened afterwards, when we get to play Abby, because we understand the revenge factor of Ellie and Ellie's pursuit of Joel, and how we still don't get to see, but we kind of understand why Abby would go back to Joel, because obviously somebody got killed in her family, and we later find out that it was the father. The father was the doctor that was going to operate in Ellie. When you play as Abby, you get to see her side. You get to see why she did what she did. You don't get to play her till Jackson. You get to play her when she went back to Seattle. As you go through the game, you get to find out that she's just, another regular person, but she was just in pain and lost for revenge and lost for closure. And in the game, I don't know how you felt as well, like how you felt about all this, but this was Abby's opportunity to show us why she did it, or if it was,
I was actually going to add to that that's the quality that actually stood out most to me about the game. Because I think that if this game was only through Ellie's perspective and we just played her story and then we got the ending that we got, I would have not been happy with this game at all.
Me neither.
I would have not been satisfied. Oh yeah, I would have hated this game. Yeah. I don't understand how people can be mad at this game when the creator of this game has decided to give you both sides of the story. You get Ellie's perspective, you play with her, and then you get Abby's perspective, you see her story unfold, flashbacks.
And again, we understand the pain, but
and it's
take your time.
Yeah, and for me, it's actually what stood out the most, because I don't think it was done with the purpose of trying to make you understand, but it was actually done with the purpose to actually have you open your mind to, hey, we get it, but like, please, this is where Abby is coming from as well. You got to understand that not everybody's going to react the same way to their parents being murdered. Some people will want revenge. It could be 20 years and the person will be just like with this obsession, and that's what Abby had. We do see that reflected in Ellie's side as well. But then at the same time, it's like you see how both of these characters, through their different storylines, even though it was happening in the same days, you see the poor choices that they make. And in the end, these both characters lose so much that they're just like, we're tired of this. Like, we can't do this anymore. So for me, that's the quality that made this game amazing. Because again, if I didn't have Abby's perspective, I would have probably hated this game, and I would have probably hated Ellie. And there were some points where I hated Ellie because of her choices. There were some points where I really hated Abby because she was stubborn as, hell.
And I believe that comes with, I believe those feelings come from where you now see both sides.
Yeah.
And you see that the cycle's not going to end until somebody stops. This game tries to unravel who we really are. And that's why you have to have patience playing this game.
I was going to say, to add to that as well, I think what you just pointed out is probably the main reason why people hate this game or why it's so controversial. Because I have lived it, and people don't like it when you say the truth to their face.
Yeah.
It was what you were saying.
Yeah.
This is a reflection of, sadly, how the world is today, how people are today, how people are reacting. As I was watching this game and the story unfold and every action that every character took and like the different factions
came at the perfect time.
Yeah, it made complete sense why people hated this game.
And it was pushed back because it was trying to be sensitive.
Yeah.
To
the
when
virus.
It started to the virus.
But I remember the game was, slowly moving forward with the story. I remember I turned to you once and I was like, I understand why people hate this game.
Yeah.
Because
I was like, me too.
Usually we use games and movies and TV series for an escape. Like, it's our form of like sitting down and watching something that in our minds is not possible. But this game reflects so much of society and our current situation right now, our reality, that people don't like it. Because now I can't sit down and watch a game like this and say, oh, this isn't happening outside. We're not quarantined. People aren't separating into different groups.
Right?
I can't sit down and disconnect my reality with the reality of this game. And I seriously believe that that's one thing that really ticked people off.
This was created for this world. It is fiction, and it's still reflecting something that can happen in a world like this.
And I was gonna say something that I've told, I told you, and we've discussed the game with other people. I really wonder.
With a lot of people.
I really wonder if this game ended up being a Netflix show, for example. I don't think it would have gotten the hate that it did.
So to end it off right close to the end, it was also a very powerful moment where we were getting into Abby when she was in the pillars, because she was taken by the gang. The gangs were these people that would take clickers and all that, like the infected.
Yeah, and they would have them as like pets, like a show and tell. I don't even know what it was.
It was when Ellie's having that conflict between her thoughts and thinking about Joel, that she is like, am I still up for this revenge and all that? I remember that you started hating Ellie because, she was
because, and I think that's one of the reasons why I probably connected more with Abby, because Abby, and I'm not justifying what she did to Joel, I'm not, but Abby, not once but twice, she let Ellie go off the hook.
Yeah.
And the last time she literally told her, I better not see you again.
Mm-hmm.
When we see Abby in the Pillars, it's the most vulnerable she's been in the whole game. Like, she doesn't have her physique. She's skinny. She's unhealthy.
Her skin's cracked.
They cut her hair off. She, you know, and she was very vulnerable in that time. And Ellie was about to leave, and then she's like, "Oh no, I have to finish this." And in my mind, I'm just like, "That's just not fair." In a way, like, you can't. And Abby, after what she said to her in the theater, "I better not see you again," the first thing that comes out of her mouth is, "I'm not doing this now." It really made me want to punch Ellie in the face. Like, I wanted to get in the scene in that beach and just punch her in the face.
And overall, honestly, what I said when we got to that point was, I hope nobody dies now. Because why? You can't keep doing this to each other.
It's the vicious, it's a cycle.
It's a cycle. And Ellie was there, and it was time for Ellie to just stop. Like, it was her turn to say no to this.
Yeah.
Like, Abby already said it. It was time for Ellie, and lo and behold, while she was like having, which it was a great moment, like fighting and everything, because I said, like, I don't want to kill her, but it was fantastic. Like, when Ellie has her right there on the brink of death, and just lets her go.
That scene was hard to watch.
It's like,
that scene was hard for me.
Ultimately, we got the end that we were looking for. Which was Ellie stopping, and she, you know, breaks down crying and just tells Abby to go.
Like, she finally found closure. The Joel in this game, not the Joel from The Last of Us.
Exactly.
The Joel in this game, that's not what he would want for her.
Yeah.
And I think, even though I'm pissed off at Ellie for going to Santa Barbara and trying to finish it off, I think in the end, you understand why she goes there. She needs to find some sort of closure. Sometimes people do certain things that we don't understand. It could be something as simple as, like, going to visit a family member that they haven't talked to in years, going to visit or, you know, call a friend that they had a bad relationship, or they did something to them. People find closure in different ways.
It's like it's like the action of trying to not live with the guilt of what could have been.
Yeah. Or in Ellie's case, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
To rectify Joel's killer.
Yeah. We got the ending that we wanted, how we felt it was deserved based off all we went through.
And it's a great ending because it's open to any and every interpretation.
Yeah.
Some people will say, I think you think she went back to Jackson.
Yeah, I think some people say that they went on. I don't think
that's the case.
Yeah, I think she went on. Yeah, and I, thinking about it a little bit more, I think she went on her own. But, if I'm Ellie, I would try and go to Jackson to see if I can reunite with Dina. Okay.
I just think that for Ellie, this is the first step in her closure. For some people, it happens
second step,
quick.
If you think about it, like second step.
Yeah, for some people, it happens quick. For some people, it takes time to put the pieces together. I know that the past 4 months for me have been like a time in my life where I'm just piecing everything together. And I'm still to this day, I'm not like at 100%, if I'm completely honest. So I can understand what Ellie's going through in a way. And I think she has to do it piece by piece, and slowly, because I feel that if Ellie were to ever come back to Dina and JJ, who's the baby, I feel like she would want to be the best version of herself so that she can finally have that life that I think she deserves,
The best scene of the game, just to cap this off, the best scene of the game, honestly, and I said that was another scene, but the end, when you see that Ellie actually, after the dance, she went to Joel to talk to him, and that she really wants to try to forgive him, and forgive him for what he did. He would do it all over again. That was great that he said that, because I would have too.
Can I just say, like, Troy Baker is he's amazing.
Oh, yes.
Our first year working at the Puerto Rico Comic-Con, which we're working with them right now. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
We used to be staff members. We used to work the line. Our first year, Troy Baker was there, and he is the nicest, most passionate guy ever. Like I remember we were gonna escort him from backstage to the stage because he has this amazing album. It's called Sitting in the Fire. It came out in 2014. It's a great freaking album. Like it's fantastic. And I remember he was in the middle, and he had like it was like an electronical cigar. I completely forgot the name. I'm so sorry, but he was just standing in the middle, just like smoking his thing, and we were all like in a circle, and we were just like asking him questions.
We were
like
talking
back and forth,
like,
because at this time The Last of Us had come out.
Yeah.
And it was really big. And
we were 2015.
Yeah, and he was so nice about it. He was just like back and forth with all of us.
Like he was cool, man, and we were just talking, having regular conversations, and I escorted him. He took a picture with me. He signed
your
my
PlayStation.
PlayStation 4. He said, I hope this was true. He said that was the first white PlayStation 4 that he'd ever signed.
He's a great actor. He's a passionate person, and he's very humble and decent, you know. And I remember also that I bought his CD and he signed it, and John was like begging him. He was like, "Can you sign? And John too." And then I still have it at home. It says to Ash. I don't remember what he wrote.
Back home in Puerto Rico, we still have it.
Yeah, back home in Puerto Rico, and then in a parentheses he was like, "And John too."
Thank you for watching us. This was a very, very deep discussion. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope we opened your mind a little bit. Again, it was a fantastic game. It was a fantastic experience to be part of. And I hope more of games like this come out, because it really helps. Like I said, it helps to understand and see how we really could be as a person, how mean, how graceful, how emotionally invested can we be as human beings in these type of situations, and what decisions could we make in these type of situations where it could, again, hold the mirror to your face and show you who you really are. Not many games like this are out there. So that's, once again, this is honestly the greatest game I've ever played. Yeah. Based off of this.
If you guys enjoyed our discussion on The Last of Us Part 2, we really encourage you to subscribe to our channel and also like this video. You can also follow us on other social media. We have a Facebook under The Legacy Universe, and you can also follow us on Instagram under The Legacy Universe. And don't forget, every Friday at 8 p.m. we have a show in partnership with the Puerto Rico Comic Con. It's called Reload, and it's a show where John and I sit down and give you guys a weekly recap on the latest news in the world of gaming, movies, TV series, and comics. It's live every Friday at 8 p.m. via the Puerto Rico Comic Con's official Facebook page. And a friendly reminder that this show is in Spanish for all of our Spanish-speaking people out there.
If anything, we'll put every single link below the description.
Stay tuned for more awesome videos heading your way. So thank you for watching. Take care, stay safe, and see you soon.
Bye, guys.